and welcome to another Tennis Journal entry for March 22nd, 2025. My name is Francis, and today I faced off against Adam for my first match on hard courts for this year. Both of us usually play on clay, so there were a lot of adjustments to be made as the set progressed. I noticed Adam's shots were much faster on the surface, and his heavy topspin and side spin were very tricky to handle, which led to a lot of unforced errors for me. On the plus side though, since it's a hard court, there weren't as many unpredictable bounces, which is helpful. And even more importantly, the footing was solid, unlike clay, so there weren't any random patches that were more slippery than others, so it was very consistent, obviously. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the set of me against Adam, and if you want to check out my previous match against him, go ahead and check out the description, and thanks for watching. And here we begin with Adam on serve. Adam's style is to typically grind it out on the baseline, very similar to my own style. And if you've seen in my other previous videos, I've recently been playing more of a pusher strategy, just try to play that consistency game. Just trying to force high numbers of unforced errors on the opponent's side, while making high percentage shots, whether it be cross court or even down the middle sometimes, even though I just missed that cross court right there. And sometimes Adam will put pressure at the net if he sees a short ball like this, and forcing me to make a desperation shot. Definitely get away with that error right there. But I could definitely tell that both of us were still trying to get adjusted to the hard courts at this point. Even though I complain about clay a lot and slipping and sliding and weird bounces, it did take a while for me to get adjusted to the hard courts. And this was a relatively easy game to get a hold of in the beginning. Usually I have a strong start in many of my matches, but later on I tend to falter as I run out of stamina. As I run out of stamina, I tend to make more errors, and the opponent typically can catch up a bit, which is kind of a trend that I've noticed. And that's why it's helpful to have a big serve like this one here sometimes, just try to get some easy points here and there, avoid the long rallies while I'm on serve at least. It is a bit of a double-edged sword, however, as I tend to double fault sometimes, and it can really make their lives easier, giving them free points. Just like right here, Exhibit A. As I've said in a bunch of my videos earlier, my serve is definitely that missing link, particularly my second serve. Right now I'm relying on two first serves, or sometimes that really weak second serve that's almost like I'm almost feeding the ball. But so far I was making most of my first serves in, so things were looking pretty good in that department. And right here, my feet are caught in a really awkward position. I'm forced to slice it back, and Adam takes advantage of just coming to the net, attacking, and I come up with that terrible, terrible volley error. And here's the embarrassing replay of that. But with me being 1 point ahead, I stick with that pusher strategy, just keep a really long rally going, hoping that he'll make a mistake just playing those really high percentage shots either down the middle or cross court. However, I know that's not exactly the best mindset to have, just relying on other people's mistakes. I should eventually learn how to play like a counter puncher and find those moments where to attack. But I get away with being a pusher this time, and I'm up 2 games in the beginning with a quick start. But as you'll soon find out, Adam will do what he can to keep the score very close. We quickly exchange some unforced errors and tie the score up. It also looks like he was still adjusting his serve, so definitely getting away with some easy points in the beginning for me, but that wouldn't last for too long. And after that kind of lengthy rally, Adam is keeping it close in the score. He really doesn't want to give up this game, otherwise I'm just going to run away with the set. He too is also playing a very high percentage type of rally where he's hitting down the middle and cross court just like me. But he's able to hit a great shot down into the corner where I was just unable to get it. He found that right moment to go on the attack, and it worked out really well. With Adam on the verge of getting this game, I try to play again that consistency game, just hitting cross-court backhand, just trying to get those high percentage shots. You can see that was a very loopy ball. Hitting into the net is one of the most common errors that you can make in tennis, so making sure you get the height is very important. And was able to draw out the error to have the game continue on a bit longer. Speaking of net errors, I make one right there, and Adam has the advantage to close out this game to narrow down the lead a bit. And what do I tell you? Net errors are the most common as I make yet another one, and Adam narrows the lead down by just a game. And also, thanks to all those errors into the net, you can see our unforced errors are tied 6-all. Now with me on serve, I was thinking that it's a bit risky now with just him one game away. He can definitely break my serve as it's inconsistent, but definitely get a nice easy point here at least. This next point, however, would not be one of the easy points as I'm forced to do one of my kind of crappy second serves and get some kind of point going. And it'd be one of the longest rallies of the set where I'm just trying to hit either cross court or down the middle just to, again, try and get an error out of Adam, but easier said than done when we have very similar play styles of just being consistent at the baseline. I do, however, think that I have a slight edge just because of experience, where he's a relatively newer player compared to me, and trying to take advantage of that by just trying to play the same game, but maybe slightly better. But here, Adam is putting some good pressure on me at the net, but was able to just make that lob in, barely. It was actually more like me framing a forehand and it just turned into a lob, but it worked out that time. With a 30-love lead, I try to do another first serve for my second serve, but double fault it, and that makes me lose confidence here where I go for my crappy second serve. Somehow I draw out an error out of Adam. I think he was just expecting another first serve, so kind of psyched him out in that instance. And with a big enough serve, I was able to hold, a very crucial hold, to maintain the lead. And in the beginning of this game, things were going really well for me, where I thought I could even extend the lead even further. Just continuing my pusher strategy of just getting the ball back, high percentage shot, cross court or in the middle, while making sure that my shots have plenty of height as well, just to get that net clearance, not to get the number one mistake in tennis, which is hitting into the net. I thought Adam was going to crush this forehand winner, but turned out to be an error and get lucky. And now by this point, I thought I had this game in the bag, being 40-love up. But Adam would make this really difficult for me and claw his way back. I try to go for a really aggressive forehand here, but it lands just barely out. And in this point, I would also try to go for a huge forehand, but it's not even close this time. I just completely spray the shot, as you see right here, right into the wall. And so after this point, I try to dial it back again, revert back to that pusher strategy, and hope that the consistency game goes in my favor. And on the forehand, I just don't get quite enough under the ball to get enough height, and it goes right into the tape. Adam ties up the score to deuce, while forcing yet another really long rally right here in this point. Adam finally says that he's had enough and goes for a big forehand into the corner, and it just lands in, and was unable to return that. Very tough shot for me to deal with, but great shot on his part. And with Adam winning 4 straight points in a row, bringing it to his advantage, the pressure was back on me to try and bring this back to deuce. And with an awful backhand error, Adam is just 1 game away from tying the score up. And a big part is just me making a lot of unforced errors now at this point of the match. Even though I'm trying to play the consistency game, I have slightly more unforced errors than him. But for the next 2 games, I would actually somewhat redeem myself and minimize my unforced errors. And luckily my serve was holding up too for this game. So far I've had at least 1 double fault each game, which is not exactly the best. Giving up a free point each game by double faulting is certainly giving a big advantage to your opponent. But here, yet another really long rally of us just both trying to play high percentage tennis, hitting in the middle. But I'm able to get 1 cross-court shot here, and Adam dumps the shot into the net. I find my opportunity here to attack the net, put pressure on Adam, but just completely dump the shot into the net. Thanks to the side cam, we get to see my embarrassing moment once more. But even with that embarrassing replay, I was able to close out this game with relative ease thanks to a couple big serves. Or rather, 1 big serve and a wimpy second serve where Adam was just not expecting it. And the good times would keep rolling in this game where I get some more relatively easy points here and there. But in this case, I definitely had to sprint for that. So not exactly the easiest point. But even then, was able to continue on with my strategy, just be very, very consistent and let him make the errors. couple errors from Adam in a row, I'm able to be within spitting distance of getting the match win. But Adam wouldn't go quietly, as he was able to put up some really heavy resistance. But before putting up any heavy resistance, I first have to start off with a double fault, and then right after with another unforced error. This is my common theme, where I tend to make more and more mistakes as the match progresses. Again, not putting enough height on my shot, followed up by yet another double fault. So yeah, a really bad start for me to try and end this match, but I try to salvage this game and luckily get a nice easy point here with an ace. But then it was followed up by this very lengthy rally, and at this point I'm thinking to just not give any easy points up to Adam if I'm gonna lose this game, at least make him work for it. After that really long rally, was able to draw out the error from him, just 1 point away from getting to deuce. But not only was I putting up some heavy resistance for this one game, but so was Adam, where here is yet one more really long rally. Here Adam just goes for a big forehand into the corner, which I just barely get, but he repeats with a backhand and was unable to stick the landing. I thought I'd be able to get back into this game, but the damage was done thanks to those two double faults and the unforced error in the beginning. And now with Adam on serve, he actually kept up the pressure on my end, where he was actually wearing me out even though I was going for that pusher strategy and just trying to keep long rallies, but it was actually taking its toll on myself. Additionally, he was not afraid to put some pressure at the net and just try to make me answer the question of whether I can handle the pressure there. With my weak backhand, he easily puts that volley away and gets a volley winner. And I thought continuing my pusher strategy would help, but it just wasn't clicking, where I kept on making unforced errors on my end. That's the problem with the pusher strategy, is if you are inconsistent and make the errors yourself, then it's gonna backfire right at you. But it looks like Adam was a little bit too aggressive here, getting an unforced error, and has some bad luck with the serving on this 1 point, so tying the game up and giving me a chance to catch up in the score and potentially end the match. And here was one of the very few times, and maybe the only time, I was successful at the net, getting a volley winner. Always find being at the net is much easier in doubles, as I'm not running around everywhere if I'm that net person. And now, with it being match point, the pressure is on for Adam to keep the match going. But he doesn't go quietly, as this is one of the longest rallies in our set. Since Adam is a lefty, I hit to the left side, his backhand, and try to attack his backhand as much as possible, trying to get an error out of him, but it doesn't work, and he hits to my backhand, my weaker shot, and the rally keeps going. But it doesn't last much longer as I finally make an error, and Adam forces a deuce for the game. The match keeps going, but he immediately follows it up with a double fault, giving me the advantage right back. Match point once more. I'm thinking at this point, alright, this is the moment where I end the match right here with a heavy topspin forehand that's deep, but it was too deep and it goes out. And now we're back at deuce once more. And Adam follows it up with a serve that was just really spinny and has me do a slice that looks incredibly awkward, and he does it again, and I do yet another really weird slice. And with that, he's only one game away from tying the score up, being down 2-5 at one point. Really not making it easy for me and forcing me to play extra games here. And now the pressure was really on with me on serve. My serve is not the most reliable. And after this really lengthy rally, Adam loses a little bit of patience and misses out wide by just a bit, trying to go for the winner in the corner. And after putting up such heavy resistance, making me work for every single point, Adam does follow it up, unfortunately, with several unforced errors in a row, giving me triple match point. But even being down by triple match point, he attacks the net and doesn't falter, putting it away with this smash, which definitely takes a lot of guts in this situation. But the pressure is still on Adam, and I go for a big serve to try and end the match right here. And it just so happens it was good enough to shut the door. And there you have it. I was able to close out the match before Adam could get his epic comeback and was able to stop the bleeding. And if you look at the stats here, we had an identical number of unforced errors, but was able to come out on top just a little bit with less double faults and a little bit more winners. Very, very close in numbers. It was just those clutch moments that made the difference too. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this Tennis Journal entry on March 22nd, 2025, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care, everybody, and thank you for watching.